Alright, so tonight I am going to talk about my days as a news reporter back when I was a teenager and when I was in my early 20s. I haven't reported a news story since I was, oh boy, 21 years old. So, as you can see there, that's my ECMA pass, The Guardian. I was the entertainment journalist. I was also a sports editor and freelance reporter, and I worked my on the job training at The Guardian. I could have had a full time job there. I got along really, really well with managing editor Gary McDougall. Um, Timing just wasn't right. I took a job at the Eastern Graphic newspaper, and my mother was really sick. Um, we discovered mom was sick with cancer right around the time of my on the job training. Um, my mother and father both told me that mom was sick right after my on the job training ended. So when I left the Guardian for the last time and stepped into the car, that's when I was told that my mother had leukemia and it didn't look great. Um, I would credit that with ending my career in journalism, but that wasn't the end. And I'm going to tell the story because, well, I find it quite interesting, and I did a really good job with what I did. Now I don't have all the materials I need to make a great video. I'm still gonna use what I have here and see what I can do for you. So as you can see, the date on that was February 8th to the 11th. Um, my memory serves me right. I found out mom was sick either on the 13th or 14th. So there must have been something else going on at the end of the ECMAs, but that was when I was told. This photo here is not 2001. This is more like 2021. No, maybe 2019. So I have a whole stack of papers here. And I mean, I didn't go through the whole box. I have albums of my news stories and pictures, but I found this. This is a surveyor that I put together with my girlfriend Amy. It's really hard to read in the light. It's called The Surveyor. It came out on September the 26th, 2000. And this was the first newspaper that I put together. So most of the students got ahead and did this in the first season. This was the beginning of second year. My girlfriend and I were the only two who never completed a newspaper. When I did this, I couldn't stop. I wanted to be the editor every paper. I loved it. It was just, I turned into a whole different person. I started like commanding. Uh, I started commanding the news. We used to do these news meetings where we'd all get together and organize what we were going to do for the week. Anyway, so I haven't looked at this in, well, 3 or 4 years, but before that, I hadn't looked at it in like 20. Let me just see what I can find here. No, nothing much. I think some of it's missing. But yeah, there's no article in it by me. I'm going to look for a few. But this was the first paper I put together. I didn't grab many surveyors, but this one was my most important one. This is my first front page story. This was a really big story at the time. And I was lucky to stumble on it. I was given the idea, and when I wrote the article, my instructors, Wayne Young and Rick McLean, were really excited. I wasn't producing the paper, but yeah, it was right about this time that I was getting like 5, 6, 7 stories in per newspaper. There's not that many pages in these. But when I took right off with there's Amy. Panic attacks, man. She should have interviewed me. You know what? She might have. It is me. Wow. Panic attacks, part of the life of Holland College student. I couldn't get air. I started hyperventilating, and I thought I was going to die, says a Holland College student who wishes to remain anonymous, describing a panic attack which occurred about 3 months ago. That was me, yeah. His second major panic attack in about 2 weeks, although he never had one before. Hey, I didn't even know the story existed. That is insane. Yeah. She was pretty pissed off 10 years later when we'd broken up in 2006. But in 2012, I reached out to her and let her know I actually had anaphylaxis to bell peppers and hot sauce. Anything with bell pepper in it. And the bell peppers were causing the panic attacks. I mean, it was the anaphylaxis, right? She was very skeptical of that. I think she wanted it to be panic attacks. But they really are panic attacks. You can't breathe and something's wrong. You start to get anxious. Anyway, that's cool. I didn't even know that was there. But that's something else you've learned about me today. I had a bad period. 3 or 4 years. It lasted until the 2004. To be honest, I think dating Amy was causing me. There's Amy. Whose cell phone is ringing? I just learned about cell phones back then. I threw my cell phone right out the window. Oh yeah, look at this. This dude here. Blair Earl Ross. He was a local protesting agitator. Protesting the Workers' Compensation Board. And man, did he ever go crazy. I did about 3 or 4 stories with him. After he was done fighting the Workers' Compensation Board, he started telling me about being raped and molested by the Queen when she would come visit PEI. So, take that with a grain of salt. Yeah, anyway. Oh, there's another story by me there. Jody Holden. Forgot about him. Oh, he's in the Olympics. Cool. I completely forgot I wrote that. Oh. Alright, let's speed these things up here. I worked for this newspaper, The Guardian. I had many front page stories. I freelanced. I worked there for about 8 months. And I worked for this newspaper, the Amherst Daily News, for about 6 weeks. I also worked for the Weekly News. Now, I liked it, but it opened my eyes to the world working in Amherst. It's a small town off PEI. I realized I like PEI. I don't really like small town Nova Scotia. And here's the newspaper I worked a whole year at. The Eastern Graphic. Definitely one of the worst experiences of my life. Yeah, I was good at it. I filled that newspaper up 7 or 8 times. But 2 of the people at that newspaper were the most horrible people I've ever met. Alright, so this is the Eastern Graphic. This is from October 17th, 2001. So my mother had been gone now for 3 months. I was writing all these stories and wondering, why am I doing this? I never had time to grieve. I just jumped right back into it. So I had a lot of front page stories. Now I have about Oh, geez. I have about 50 of these down in the basement. I just grabbed one or two. There's another one. Oh, that's it for the front page. There's one on the second page there. Jim Bagnall, what a character. This guy used to come in all the time, give me government stories. Paul McNeil, my boss, he gets so mad because this guy shells for the people that Paul McNeil wants to expose. Paul McNeil is all about trying to expose people. You know, look at that little satanic face he's got. Yeah, he's satanic. This guy's awful. This guy's pretty much my worst enemy. I don't like him. I'm not gonna go into it. Just a really unhappy person. You'll see him on CBC talking. He's so negative. If the sun is out, he says it's clouds. He just looks at everything very negatively. All right, let's keep going here. Oh yeah, might as well get to this. Well, most people would consider this the worst human ever. Here, Heather Moore. Yeah, she acts the way she looks. She was a bigger bitch than Paul, but I did get along with her for most of my time. She started mocking my mom and mocking me after my mom died. She didn't think I could, she thought I was too soft. I caught her mocking my mom one day, and when I got fired from the Eastern Graphic, I got fired for challenging her. She's poking me and prodding me, yelling at me. She was so abusive. One day I said, "Do you want to take this outside?" And that's all it took. She just said, "You're fired. You're out of here." So she went to Paul, got me fired, and I still got my EI. I wasn't quitting. I wanted to get that EI. I usually have a column, and unfortunately, in this paper, I don't have one to show you. Hey, that must have been a big story because I cut it out. Well, the paper's in great shape. I did not have many stories in this. I had like 3 or 4. Hey, look, it's Lawrence. Yes, no more columns, unfortunately. All right, there's a surveyor. Hey, look, it's my birthday. That was my 22nd birthday. So this is a special edition. There's you can't see it, it's all bent. It's Norma Lee McLeod. Do you know Norma Lee? TV journalist for the CBC. She was one of the first students in the Holland College program on Charlottetown. And she was the first Hartwell Daily Award winner. So this is a celebration, I guess. 30 years of college journalism. Oh, look, there's our hero. He was in the class of 86, but he didn't win any Hartwell Daily. Hubba hubba. Oh. It's funny, I know people who wrote in this paper. So there's like Hartwell Daily Award winners in here. So there's this Dominic guy here. Mary McKay. Huh. Well, she was 2 years after me. Huh. There's Hartwell Daily right there. So who is Hartwell Daily and why is an award named in his honor? Look at this hunk. Oh, that's me. I made the most of my opportunity. Yes. Yes, I was a Hartwell Daily Award winner, 2001. When I applied for the course, Martin Doral told me I shouldn't take it, said Goff. That's right, I was too young. Most of the people in the course were like 18. No, I mean like 20 or above. I was 18. There was just me and Amy who were 18. And everybody else is old. Like we had 30-year-olds in there. I didn't. I like cheated like on the test. Look at me. I had to look off another girl's work to get into the course. So I copied her answers. She was beautiful. I sat next to her, and the next thing you know, 6 months later, I was dating her for 7 years, and never spoke a word to her, but she let me copy off of her. There we go. There's a Hartwell Daily Journalism Award list there. There's Norma Lee. There's the year Paul didn't win one. John Gracie won. Yeah. Mary McKay was 89. And there's me, the 1999 to 2001 class. Here's some modern winners. Oh, people from different countries. Norma Lee, Sophie Gale, Taylor. You know, when you're in Holland College, you feel like you're all friends. Like, even if you come back 15 years later. Krista Peterson. I know Krista Peterson. How do I know her? I completely forget. I can't even pronounce these people. These are mostly just people in the last few years. Grant Harrison. Oh, what a name. He was a villain on Another World. Rafi Wright. Dan Brown. I think he works for the Guardian, maybe. Anyway, yeah, that is Holland College, and there I am there. You can't really see it. Let me just get it going here. Whoops. There's Dad and me, Dad and I, and there's my diploma from UPEI and my Holland College Hartwell Daily Award right there. Cool, huh? So that was back in 2007. There's my award. I won it on June 3rd. And there's my girlfriend, Amy, who I met at Holland College and dated. And she thought she was going to be winning that award. And I came in and swooped in and stole it. No one was expecting me to win anything. I was not what you'd consider that good of a student. But I learned from her. She was a super genius. She had the third highest mark in Sackville at Tantramar. And, yeah, I just kind of learned from watching her, and I did well. So anyway, I won a bunch of money for that one, $500 or something. And yeah, so those are the top students, the ones they thought were the most promising, going somewhere. Little did they know I didn't. So what do we got next? UPEI. There is the old SDU building. That's where I did a ton of my courses. All sorts of arts courses like history and sociology. And if you look here, there's the main building. That's where the cafeteria is, and you go buy books and stuff. Is this the SDU as well? I'm not sure. But I spent a good, I don't know, 9 years here. Oops, I gotta get a good shot here. There we go. That's pretty much my main door right there. So I went to UPEI in 2004, and I finished my history degree in 2010, And I finished my English degree in 2006. And my English degree included Holland College journalism. So Holland College journalism counted as half a degree. So I went back and got the full degree and was convinced to go back into history. I actually even did a year in psychology. Psychology was tough, but I loved it. It was real cool. I don't have like a half a degree or anything, but I could go back and do it. Yeah, I loved English so much. I loved history. It was fascinating to me. These are my marks. Now this is my crowning achievement. This is what makes me the most happiest, and this is just how I did. I'll try to get this here. So I had first class standing. I got to go to the honors awards every year. I only went once, but yeah, that was my first semester there in the fall of 2004, spring of 2005, and I took microeconomics. Now that class there, that was tough. That class, they had to do a grading scale because everyone was failing. Like, look at that. It shows you the enrollment. There was 42 people in it. Well, I'd say by the end of it, there was like 10. And look at that. The average mark was 65. And that's after all the people quit, failed. I got an 82. That was second best in the class. The guy who was best sat next to me. I think his name was Ben. English 101, academic writing. I got an 81. That as well was a tough mark. I couldn't finish the final exam. I went into the final exam in December panicking. I spent 3 hours writing and I ripped up my paper. It's only worth 20%, but the teacher came up to me a few times and asked me what was going on. And I said, I can't write this paper. And they're like, well, why? She's like, why? And I said, well, my neighbors across the street were in a horrible accident. The McClellan family, they died in this really horrific car accident where a transfer truck came up from behind and smoked them. And I'd just been at the funeral and I thought I was fine. My aunt was in a coma down in Tampa from her car accident. So I didn't want to tell the teacher, but I finally told her and she just said, go home. You had like an 83. I'll mark you down for an 81. So she told me I was second in the class with my mark. So I got 2 marks, 82 and 81. They could have been in the 70s had I not been in a lucky situation. That's French. French is really easy. I got a 95. There's my history 101 and my political studies 201. Those are very fun. 92 and 91. As you can see there, where it says median, that's the average mark in the class. So you can see I killed everybody's average mark pretty good. And there's the enrollment, showing you how everybody did. There's my second semester, Biology 101, 83. That's where I met Candace. She was my favorite. Probably my best friend at UPEI. No, you know what? I met her in French, but we also had biology. And then I had English 202, 84. That was poetry. It was a poetry class. It's just girls and me. And so much group work in that class. There's my French. It was a 92. History 102 is a 91. And philosophy 79. Ooh, my worst mark. And I bombed the final exam because my mark going into that was like 86. I bombed it. So that was my English degree right there. And it was an 88 average, I think, after 1 year. And then I was able to take my journalism marks, like, my Hartwell Daily. So I had an English major. I could have gone on with my life at this point. You know what? seems to me I I needed 20, not 10. So I probably didn't have that yet until after this semester. It says I have it there, but I don't think so. So let's look here. Professional writing, 381. Ooh, that was a higher course. I went right for the high ones. 83. I didn't kill in that course. History of Pre-Confederation, PEI, 85. Political Economy and Social Change. That's a political studies class where, geez, our teacher, Henry Shrevenick, tried to get us to be pro-Jewish Zionist. And back then, I kind of was. Nobody attended that class. It was one of those classes you just didn't even show up for. Religions of the World, Western Tradition, 88. I loved religious studies. That's where I learned all about Islam, Judaism, Christianity, and that really opened my eyes. I didn't realize Islam was a religion of peace. This class really, the guy was a Christian, a Catholic from my church, and forget his name now, Philip something. I think he was a great professor. I had some really good ones. Some I don't remember, and some I remember quite well. Writing 404, I remember Wendy Shelton, Rhetoric and Communication and Context. That was a tough class. My friend Heath was in the class. I was friends with the whole class, and they gave that lady such a hard time. Anthropology 101. The professor's name escapes me again. Really liked them. 88. The Atlantic Region, History, 83. History 332. PEI, Post-Confederation. That must have been Ed. Ed McDonald was my favorite professor. He was like my guru. He recruited me to go into history. Math 101. Dennis Lomas, 85. Couldn't believe it. That was one of those classes where every day I said, Mom, help me through this. And when I got that 85, I was so proud. That's first class standing, 85 or above. So I did it. I went to university. That's the only reason I didn't go when I was 18. I was told I wouldn't be able to complete the math. And I did well. The average mark in the class was 72 out of 54 people. And I had an 85. So Religious Studies 102. 91. So I did well there too. Edward Chung, I think, was my teacher. I loved Edward Chung. So then, behave. Pause this. There's my second semester. Wait a minute. There we go. There's my second semester. So I did 3 classes this term. Anthropology 102. That was my highest mark in all of UPEI, 97. The average was 75. So, History 202, European Civilization. That was difficult. That was a super hard class. My professor was Richard Raiswell, and he was the toughest of all the teachers. And I killed in that class. I had nightmares of him, though. He was a British guy, but he was fair. And that 90 was well earned, I'll tell you that much. Philosophy 202. So remember, I did Philosophy 101, and I bombed. And of course, in contemporary moral issues, I did quite well. I had an 85. So at this point, I'm now working on a history degree. And for you listening at home, you might think this is just bragging. And it is. It is bragging for sure. Who really cares, though, right? It's school. But this is more for my son. He's great at school. He's doing really well. His marks are in the 90s. And I just want him to know how I did in case, someday, well, I'm not here and I can't explain it to him. So this is 2007, 2008. this was a great year. I loved it. Just histories now. History, 201, European Civilization, I got an 85. That was probably also Richard Bracewell. History 211 was a workshop. That was an 82. I'm going to guess that was Susan Brown. The Atlantic region, that was Ed. I got an 82 there as well. And then History 391, that was Bruce Craig. That was U.S. from 1900 to World War II. I got 88. I love that class. So I wasn't really into the courses Ed McDonald and Susan Brown were doing. I really, really liked Richard Bracewell and Bruce Craig class better. Second semester. So it says I discontinued these, but I didn't. This one just didn't have enough students. I know that sounds weird, but that European cultures, I don't know if that continued. I dropped it. I didn't want to take it. And that U.S. to World War II, I'm surprised I didn't stay in it. It must have been a Bruce Craig course. I think it's possible. I just wanted to have a light semester. So I did History 312 and 363. I did Modern Irish History. I had just been to Ireland. And the Art of History. And I got a 78 and an 84. So this term here, this was the spring of 08. Yeah, like I wasn't doing as well. I was, well, I remember what was going on. I had a lot of distractions in my personal life. Here's my second semester. So this here would be the spring of 09. I did two of the higher level courses, 462, History of Economic Thought. And I killed it. I got a 91. And then I did 20th Century Great Britain with Susan Brown and got an 85. That was quite an easy semester. There we go. So that was 2009 actually. And then my summer school. So I went to summer school. Don't ask me why I did summer school. I think I was in a rush to get done. There was Sociology 101 and 392. And Kalen was on the way. So Kalen decided he was on his way at the beginning of that semester right there. And I guess that's when I realized, I should have taken 4 courses instead of 2. And so I took a summer school to get a head start. So Introductory to Sociology. I wanted to get a minor in sociology, and I did. I got an 85. And then Media and Society, that was my favorite ever class. That is the class that just smartened me up and woke me up to everything. I love that course. Benet Devetchian was my professor, the head of the sociology department. And he was like a conspiracy theorist or something. I get 95 in his class. But I loved Media and Society. That was fantastic. All right, so this is my last big course load. This was the fall Kalen was born. I did the U.S. colonial period to Reconstruction, got 85. Sociology 242, Social Problems. That was with Joe Kopachevsky. Loved him. He was one of Huey's best friends. And I didn't know him, but I'd heard about him for years, and he was a great teacher. He didn't give everybody high marks. He gave people 20s, you know. I got 92 in his class. Work in Society with, I forget, he was an Indian. Man, he mocked the whole class. Everybody went to get their SARS vaccine, and he said, all the idiots aren't here today. And I just laughed my head off, thinking of professors laughing at people getting a vaccine. Anyway, I got 91 in his class. And then Benet Devetchian did this one here, Sociology 372, Collective Behavior and Social Movements, 87. Yeah, I loved his classes. And you didn't have to buy a book. He didn't make anyone buy a $500 book. It was all stuff he put online for us to read. Get some weird views on women. He worked in Hollywood. He was an advertisement creator. He worked in Hollywood, and he taught us and explained propaganda so well. All of these classes, all of them, have like sections about propaganda and rhetoric. And man, do you ever learn? You ever learn not to trust everything you hear? People underestimate university. They think it's just them teaching you, but you end up doing you do at least one research paper for every class, and then you do at least 2 exams, and those exams are big. They take 3 hours to write, and you get really tested. You get tested to the point that it's like, you need to know what you're talking about. History 489, that was the big course. That was the course I needed to finish UPEI. Now, I thought I needed 2 more courses, so I took 2 more. I didn't want to fill up here and have 1 here. So I took 2 more, and I took this special topic, people in the Mediterranean. So I got 2 84s. But then I was notified that summer that, nope, you need 1 more class. Man, was I pissed. I have nightmares of this. I have nightmares of not finishing UPEI. I have this nightmare where it's like 2 days before the exam, and there's four courses, like say these 4. And I've studied for 3 of them, and I know all 3 of them pretty good. But there's a day and a half left, and I remembered I'm only attending 3 classes. I never attended this one. But I still have to write an exam in it, and I'm not ready. I have nothing prepared. I haven't even opened the book. And there's a day and a half, and then I wake up, and I'm stressed, and I'm panicked. I use the bathroom, and I don't know what's wrong, and it takes me half an hour. And then I realize I don't have any exams. I'm done. I've been done for 13 years. But I still have that nightmare. I told my son tonight 20 times a year. That's not a exaggeration. I still dream that I'm in school, and I just can't get this 1 class finished. So that last year I went back, it was the fall of 2010. I took History 461, History of Economic Thought. I'd walk in with 20 seconds before the course would begin. I'd walk right out. And that's all I had to do, and I got a 96. So I went out in style with a 96. So I had to get a 93 in order to maintain my 87 average. So the 96 kept me at 87. Yeah, so after 6 full years and 2 years of college, so that's 8 years, my marks were 87, and I had the Hartwell Daily. So I had an enjoyable time in school. Now, I pulled these out just for fun, in case I had some time. These are some of the papers I did. Now, I have all of my old exams, all of them, and research papers. This is a research paper here. This is for History 331 with Ed. So this is 2005. So this is 20 years, 3 months ago. Yeah, I wrote this article about Victoria by the Sea. This is back when I loved Victoria. Not the person, but the community. What did I get here? Hold on a sec. 87. Now, 87 for Ed is a really good mark. Awkward phrasing here and there. This essay is strongly written, intelligently analyzed, and cleverly organized. Huh. I guess I had some awkward phrasing. I should probably read through these comments more. Basically, I only looked at the exam for the mark. This is a math test. This is easy compared to Kalen's math. 87. But this is not enjoyable stuff. Alright, let's see what else we got here. Oh, I got a 90 on this one. Ways I can help protect our environment. You know what? I bet you this is just like some kind of basic paper. No, it's a research paper. 11-page research paper there. Let's see what else I have here. Oh, it's the old article I did about Erskine. There's an article I wrote for The Guardian. A conjugal delight. I went and covered a play with my mother. Oh, this is probably boring. Darren McKinnon. Oh, I completely forgot about that guy. Man, it's so easy to forget people. 14 out of 15. Probably a 90. Feasibility study on seating capacity. A completion report. That was 20 years ago. About the landmark. The fixed link debate. 1885 to 1916. Wow. This is where I learned how to spell and use grammar properly. I wasn't that great. You know, we had spell check, but I learned a lot in school. There's an 86. And you know, when you go to UPEI, it's different than Holland College. You learn different. There's different styles. There's a CP style at college. Here's an old note that I kept. An old small notes, not note. But this is how I would do it. I would rewrite it, and then I would highlight it. And this is how I would memorize it. So I'd memorize it, but I memorized it to the point where I knew it. I could basically, you see this page here? There's like 40 pages of notes. I could like close my eyes and I could read back all of my notes. Like almost perfect. So I'd study this so well, my notes so well, that I could go in the test and I could just see all this in my head. Just shut my eyes and retrieve it. So this is medieval Europe. This is back, you know, the feudal system here. Middle Ages. And these are my notes. So I just staple them together and memorize. What do we got here? 7.2. Not sure what that's for. Oh yeah, it's for the landmark. I had to do an oral presentation. Yeeks. Did not do well in that oral presentation. That was not fun. The content was in 8.3, she said. Job application and resume. This is the last time I ever wrote a job resume. The last time, right there, December 1st, 2005. So what are we at now? 21 years ago? 20 years and 2 months. Well, I had jobs that did not require that. Letter of inquiry. I just grabbed a bunch of things here, but these are not the best. I have like hundreds of exams and research papers I wanted to look at. The fixed link debate. We've already seen this. Oh, that's unfortunate. I grabbed a bunch of the same thing. Log assignments. More notes. Anyway, I guess you'll just have to trust me on my research papers. There's investments. Yeah, we were still paying Ronnie McKinley to remove snow at the boarding house. Huh. Cool. The Tickle Me Elmo doll craze. Sociology. I wonder how I did there. That was, look at that, Kalen was 9 days old. Average, a very thorough paper. Well done. 86. I thought he said it was average. Here is an exam. This was an exam I think I wrote right after Callan was born. Social problems. Basically got everything right on it. Is it marked? I got like a 95 on that. I don't know what it was, but I did pretty well. Anyway, so it would be fun to find my Bluefield marks. I think my average was like a 67. I get a 51 in my record keeping when I was in grade 12. That brought my mark from a 70. Well, if I had had an average mark in that, I would have had a 75. I would have been with the honors. Instead, I was in the academic standard. My professor was a jerk. It was Mr. Cotton. And there's some Eastern Graphic papers. So here's a box I have. I still can't find the my clippings. I have I have 2 books full of clippings. I thought I took that picture. I took a picture of a girl, but maybe that's not the one. And there's the journal. Sometimes I wrote for the journal. Yep, right around this time. 2000, yeah. Took some pictures. See, Amy was working there. So this box is just full of those, and then this bag here, it's just papers. You know? So look at that. I got 75 on that one. That was biology. Yikes. Didn't do well. I usually did better than that. Oh, there's a 90.5. That's History 101. That was an easy enough one to get 90 on. Now looking back, it's impressive. You know, there are some more out in the other closet, but we're down to the last 20 seconds of film before I run out of filming space here. So we're not going to be able to go through them. So anyway, that's my career in education. There's a big bag full of them. There's some more in the other closet. Like a pile. But yeah, anyway.